It's time for the Movin the Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your hosts, Kevin Thomas and Jerel Hendricks.
Welcome into Movin the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks here for our Round 3 Folly Row recap show. Jerel, another great Friday night of football here in the state. At this point, we said it all week, everybody's good. Hard to consider some of these games an upset, but we shall say there were some surprises on Friday night across Palmetto State, huh?
There were some surprises, but I will say, man, that was the upset, the one you're alluding to, Greenville and Northwestern. I will start off by apologizing to Christian Henderson and all of his teammates at Greenville Senior High School over there in Greenville, South Carolina. They pulled off a big one against Northwestern in 4A. We'll get to that one a little bit later. But, yeah, man, we saw some really good games, some dominant performances too, which you don't really expect this late in the playoffs. Some of our games of the week, we had a couple blowouts there. But even then, the game that we went to, we picked the right one this week. Kind of saw it coming for a few weeks with these two teams. They're our top two teams in 3A, or excuse me, in 2A for the majority of the season. And, just another great, fantastic night of football in the Palmetto State.
Yeah, if you guys hear Jerel, get choked up because he's eating a hat on the other side of the screen. So that's what that's about. But
hey, Tuesday.
That's right. If you guys came for the first time,
do it live.
We appreciate you. Check us out on all social media at Movin the Chains, MOVINCHAINS. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. Website, movinchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show. Comes out on Tuesday night about 7 o'clock on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, previewing the following round's games. We do our weekly recap show. Comes out on Sundays on the podcast platforms. Then our Friday night spaces over on Twitter/X. It's basically the live scoreboard show. Folks call in, give their thoughts on ball games. We go through the scores. A lot of fun to do as well. Drill, we've got our Movin the Chains merch on sale right now as well. A lot of great hats, a lot of great hoodies, a lot of great beanies, gray hoodie, white hoodie, gray beanie, black beanie, all different colorways of Richardson hats. Really good stuff. We're kind of getting low on some items, guys. So if you want something, you want to get it taken care of now. Holidays are coming up. If you got a big Movin the Chains fan, in the household, give them a hat, something like that. Would be a lot of fun to do. Appreciate you guys supporting us. Jerel, I know that you and I have been wearing our sweatshirts a lot lately, our hoodies, man. Those are some of the best and most comfortable things I own right now, I feel like.
Yeah, you know me, I'm a big hoodie guy. So, it's a lot of fun. I've been wearing it around even, Clemson's campus, getting some compliments there on it. It's been fantastic. Wore it again this past week, another one this week. I'm going to be down a hat, so I got to buy another hat from the stock there since I got to eat one on Tuesday. But, go get that stuff. We have some great merch, and go check it out. And also go check out our friends at Folly Row. They have some great stuff as well for the holidays, You know how it goes, man. We'll get through the holiday season. It'll be spring and summer before you know it. And I know you're on the links today, golf apparel and all that good stuff, Q-Zips. So go check out Folly Row in addition to the stuff that we have at Movin the Chains.
For sure. Let's give a quick shout out to our friends of the program before we break down that Strom Thurmond Gray Collegiate ball game.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-Zips to hats and more, their moisture wicking, quick drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row, very good polos.
Jerel, John, and I headed down to West Columbia to see the Strom Thurmond Rebels take on the Gray Collegiate War Eagles. Like Jerel mentioned, the teams that we had 1 and 2 in our 2A poll for the last several weeks, two really, really good ball clubs, well coached. We had seen them both play earlier in the year and thought they were the two best teams in the class. And we were certainly treated to a big-time ball game on Friday night. Strom Thurmond, they got the ball first to start the ball game. On the second play from scrimmage, they hit a little pop pass to Tennessee commit Braylon Staley. Makes some moves, has a nice little gain down the right sideline, but he's hitting fumbles Gray Collegiate recovers, takes over at their own 41, 11:22 left in the first quarter. Hats off to that Rebels defense, so they held strong there, forced a punt. They couldn't get much going. They punt it back to Gray Collegiate, and the War Eagles strike first with a 5-yard touchdown run by B.J. Montgomery on 4th and 1. They go up 7-0, 3:36 left in the first quarter, and that was the end of the score. That was the score at the end of the first quarter. Strom Thurmond, though, they battled back to tie it up. A 3-yard TD run by Cam Blacks, a 59-yard drive to make it 7-all with 6:39 left in the second quarter. Gray Collegiate, they mount a nice drive. They kind of get it down to, I think, the 25, 27-yard line, something like that. Have 4th and 9. Quarterback Tyler Waller scrambles, comes up just short. They give it back to Strom Thurmond, 3:02 left in the second quarter. They can't do anything, kick it back to the War Eagles pretty quickly. And Tyler Waller delivers a dime, a 20-yarder to Zay Alford on a corner route. They go 14-7, 19 seconds left. Strom Thurmond hits a couple nice passes to Marius Tolan, the big outside target there. They get in a field goal range. Nate Nordine hits a 35-yarder to make it 14-10 at the break as the horn goes off there, Jerel. And it felt like Gray Collegiate was kind of dominating that ball game. But Strom Thurmond had a couple nice stops kind of in the red zone or kind of close there to really hold them out of the end zone. And with that last field goal, I mean, it felt like they were right there in it at the half.
Yeah, it's kind of the theme of the game. Strom Thurmond, just when we thought Gray Collegiate was going to, seize control of the football game, Strom Thurmond just continued to hang around, continue to make plays and show their resiliency because they're such a very good team. Like you said, they're very well coached. But I was really impressed that first half. We missed it, kickoff, the opening kickoff. It felt like Gray set the tone. They had the defensive end running down on the kickoff team and delivers a big time hit there. Very physical ball game. Two big teams for 2A. Yeah. I mean, that just were really getting after it, making plays. And the stars came out, like you mentioned, B.J. Montgomery. We'll talk about him repeatedly throughout this. But Braylon Staley got involved. It's just a really fun ball game and really close, throughout that first half.
Gray got the ball to start the second half. They drive down to the Strom Thurmond 9, have 4th and 1, and they get stuffed. The Rebels take over 9:41 left. 3 and out, kick it back to the War Eagles. This time they do capitalize a 9-yard touchdown by B.J. Montgomery. Go up 21-10, 7:16 left. Another quick possession for Strom Thurmond. Gray comes back, a 3-yard run by B.J. Montgomery, his third touchdown of the night. Go up 28-10, 4:11 left. And at that point, we were kind of thinking the ball game was iced, honestly, a 3-score lead, and it looked like they didn't have an answer for that run game. But they fought hard and they got back into it. A 5-yard TD run by Michael Blocker, make it 28-17, 1:19 left. And that was a score at the end of the third quarter. They get the ball back, another stop from that Gray offense. Strom drives down, has 4th and goal from the 1 coming up, and they get it, a 1-yard touchdown by Michael Blocker. 2-point run is good as well, make it 28-25, 7:18 left in the fourth quarter. And I believe on that drive, Drill, there was a big play, the 4th down play. I think it was Blacks, I believe it was, had a big run, fumbles at the end of it. Gray Collegiate recovers, but we get a face mask call. Strom Thurmond retains possession, going to score, get the 2, make it a 3-point game. And all of a sudden, I mean, they had all the momentum in their corner, it felt like.
Yeah, man, there were such big momentum swings in that second half. Like you mentioned, when Gray goes up 28-10, it just felt like it was slipping away there. It just, like you said, it felt like even throughout that first half that Gray had total momentum and control of the game, and it looked like it was going to get away. But that was the most impressive drive after Gray Collegiate went up 28-10. Was so impressed with how Strom Thurmond, I mean, they just went right down the field and scored, mainly running the football. When you think about Strom Thurmond, you think about those receivers that they have on the outside, but they were able to kind of turn that physicality, lean on their offensive line and get down there. But that play that you just mentioned, like that fumble being overturned, was such a pivotal moment in that game. They're able to capitalize and, like you said, make it a 3-point game. And we were in for a very exciting fourth quarter.
Yes, obviously, Strom Thurmond kicks off to Gray Collegiate. They actually get a couple first downs. They run the clock down a little bit, but they get stopped around midfield. I think they had thought about going for it. They brought the offense out there. I think it was 4th and 5 or something like that. Just trying to draw them off sides, didn't get it. Take the penalty, punt it. Strom Thurmond takes over at their own 22, 2:30 left. And, man, we thought at that point the Rebels were in a really good spot. The crowd was super jacked up. You could tell Gray Collegiate getting a little bit nervous, a little bit antsy on the sideline there. It felt like the Rebels were playing good football. They get a first down or two, get to around midfield. They try to throw a little screen pass, a little bit high on the pass. goes off the hands of the receiver. I think it may have been Staley, actually. Blake Croft catches the tip ball, races about 55 yards for a pick six to just seal the ball game there. They go up 35-25, 55 seconds left in the fourth quarter. An unbelievable play there. You know, we had, unfortunately for us, we had just switched ends as well because we thought we were going to be going to another end zone. So we kind of missed to see some of it, but a heck of a play by Croft. You great awareness to catch it and just take off down the sideline there for that touchdown. Strom Thurmond, they get the ball back, hit a couple nice passes. They do make a great strategy call. They kick a 45-yard field goal by Nordine, make it 35-28 with 11 seconds left to give them a chance to attempt an onside kick. They kick it once. They don't get it. There's a flag on Gray. They get to re-kick it. The War Eagles recover the second time, and they kneel it out. Gray Collegiate defeats Strom Thurmond 35-28 in round 3. Jerel, a fantastic ball game. Like you said, several ebbs and flows. Felt like Gray Collegiate had all the momentum for a while, and then Strom Thurmond came back, and then the big play at the end really sealed the deal there for the War Eagles.
Yeah, the pick six, that's obviously the play of the game, the defining score in that contest. But it's crazy how that happened, and I just go back, reflecting on it, just getting with Coach Webb after the game and speaking with him and just seeing like how big of an opportunity that was, because Strom Thurmond had all the momentum there. They go in and if they score, it's a completely different, football game there. Obviously Gray Collegiate would have had a chance to, take the lead or tie the game or whatever they needed to do. But, that pick six, not just forcing the turnover, but scoring on the turnover just completely changed the outcome. But yeah, that was state championship-like atmosphere down there in Columbia, seeing as though we're moving it to Orangeburg this year. But it felt like a state title game. I think everybody in Edgefield County was there. Everyone that's ever been associated with Gray Collegiate was on their side. Just an amazing, amazing atmosphere, an amazing football game. Both the teams, just laid it all on the line. I know as cliche as that sounds, but those guys gave it their all. The coaches coached their hearts out. It was just a fantastic football game, Kev.
Great atmosphere, great crowd. Both sides filled up. Honestly, it was a fantastic scene there in West Columbia, and talk about the momentum in the crowd getting into it. I mentioned to you guys there before the pick six, should we switch sides of the field, not ends, but actually should we go to the Strom Thurmond side to get that crowd reaction if they score right here? Because they were all into it, man. It was a great atmosphere there. Got to see lots of great folks there. But, overall, on the X's and O's part, I thought both teams and both coaches did a pretty good job. Gray Collegiate, and you'll hear Coach Holmes talk about it a little bit. They kind of figured out that the way that Strom Thurmond was kind of overplaying the stretch a little bit, and they were able to kind of make some good cuts off of that. And I think, Strom Thurmond found something too with that kind of little toss pitch play they were going to Blacks and Blocker with. They did that in short yardage a lot too, which is kind of odd to me, but it worked out, kind of getting him going off tackle there a little bit. Great strategic play. And I think what both sides did to stop the passing game of the other was pretty impressive. Staley had a few nice plays, but didn't ever really get a big one, it felt like. Tolan makes some nice plays because he's one-on-one and he's just a bigger target.
Yeah, man.
Got the ball a few times. And then for the other side, Gray Collegiate couldn't really get Lockett ever involved. Alford only had that one long touchdown catch. Both teams on the pass defense side did a great job, I felt like, especially in that aspect.
Yeah, those are great points. The passing offenses on both sides are limited because both teams, get a lot of, publicity from the Strom Thurmond side, but there's some weapons over there on the Gray Collegiate side, offensively as far as their pass catchers are concerned. I think the best pass play or the longest pass play that Gray Collegiate had was from, Coach Holmes' son, on a long, little wheel or something.
Out there,
yeah, something like that. But yeah, it was just great football. And like you said, the defenses, the game plans of limiting, the strengths of the teams, kind of set the tone, made the difference in the football game there. But just a lot of fun, man. I really enjoyed it. The game lived up to the hype, and hate to see that this is the end for that Strom Thurmond team. You hate to see it, like when you have those state title caliber games in round 3. Sometimes it just stinks. But you have to give all the credit in the world to Gray Collegiate for finishing that football game. Their new stadium, I don't know what it's called yet.
I think it's War Eagle Stadium, I believe.
But I'm just saying, we got to get a nickname, though, like the Eagle's Nest or something. We got to do something, But yeah, just a lot of fun and I can't say enough about, the energy, the crowd, and then the performance of both the players and the coaches on Friday night.
Certainly want to shout out a couple guys there. Tyler Waller, the quarterback for Gray Collegiate, played phenomenal football game. Didn't have the best numbers, you felt like, but several times able to step up in the pocket, maneuver the pocket, get some positive yards when he was in trouble back there. Did a great job kind of keeping them moving the right direction. On defense for those guys, Kane Williams brought the lumber all night long. Big physical guy, played really well for them, I felt like. And then on Strom Thurmond, that defensive line, man, Merriweather and Simpkins had some big plays in the backfield. I thought they played really well for the Rebels as well. But let's put an interview drill that we had with Coach Adam Holmes after the ball game. Then we'll kind of come back and finalize our action over there in West Columbia. That was myself talking to head coach Adam Holmes of the Gray Collegiate War Eagles. Appreciate Coach Holmes taking some time to chat with us. Jerel, we got a great food review coming out next week. Had a really good hot dog down there. Super good. You got to give them props. We were there week 0, and they had a good hot dog then, but it was, first game in the stadium and whatnot. Now, here in the playoffs, they got a Salsaritas tent out there. They've got a shipping container set up as the concession stand. Looked really nice. They did a great job with that. And, we actually had rushes on the way down there. So I didn't go get some until halftime. And they actually still had hot dogs at halftime. That's been a complaint of ours all year long, no matter where we go.
Yeah.
Big time shout out to those guys just having a good stock, good supply here in round 3.
Yeah, being prepared and, having variety, even though they're still in the process of, completing their facilities there. Love to see it. Shout out to Rushes, man. It's always good when we get in that Columbia area to go get a chili cheeseburger basket. It's a lot of fun there. And, just the crowd, we saw so many people that we've been able to interact with, over the past, few years that we've been doing this program and, very hospitable down there at Gray Collegiate, but it was also cool to go across the sideline and see some of our friends that we've made over from Edgefield County.
Yeah, so, Bulldog Brooks and Russell Wilkes from the Edgefield County Touchdown Club and, Coach Staley and Coach Webb, of course, and, Coach Walford and all the other folks over there we know. And then obviously Coach Holmes and, Joey Knuckles and those guys from Gray Collegiate. Great to see all those guys. Yeah, great to meet some folks, too, the first time. That was really neat. Miss Holmes, Coach Holmes' mom as well. Great to talk to her. So a lot of great folks on both teams we got to talk to. That was really cool. JT Soul as well.
Our buddy Reese, our buddy Cam over there.
Reese and Cam. Yeah, man, lots of great people there. The guys from SK as well. We're down there. Great talking to all those folks. It was a lot of fun. Great time in Gray Collegiate as always. 2 great fan bases, 2 great programs. I think they're both going to be, really, really good programs the next few years. I like both the coaches, Coach Holmes and Coach Webb. Can't get much better than that. They do a phenomenal job. But in round 3, Jerel, Gray Collegiate, they take down Strom Thurmond by a score of 35-28 last Friday night.
Yeah, let's take a look, Kev, at our games of the week presented by Kona each and every week. Our great friends there. We'll kick it down to the Low Country in 5A, and that was Summer for us. This game was close for the majority of the first half. Then in the second half, we had an explosion by the Green Wave. They ended up winning this game 63-35. It's a Carolina Forest team that has been extremely tough, especially in region play, second half of the year into the playoffs. But Somerville has been number 1 in 5A throughout the duration of this season, and they proved why on Friday night.
I think we said it while we were at the game Friday, Jerel. It feels like Somerville just got like a switch they can just flip and just kind of go off. This game was 28-14 Green Wave. Carolina Forest battles back to tie it up 28-all, and then Somerville just puts the hammer down, man, and pulls away late. Usually, each week we're talking about, Yannick Smith, big ball game, Jaden Cummings, big ball game, and Smith, I think, had 2 touchdowns, but Trey Green, running back, had a huge game. I think he had 200 plus on the ground, 5 touchdowns. Awesome game from them. If he adds that ground game, weapon to that offense, they're going to be even more unstoppable. But great win for them. They played Carolina Forest to a 1-score game in that win back in week 1. Much more dominant on Friday night. And Coach Rafferty's squad, they're on a mission right now.
Most definitely. They've been very good. And we'll get to Trey's numbers. I mean, fantastic stat line for Somerville. They cruised to the lower state championship there in 5A. But moving to 4A on the lower half of the bracket, we had Irmo and James Island. Irmo had to travel down to James Island. They ended up winning, though, 34-7. This Irmo team has been dominant, Kevin, and I don't know how else to explain it. I don't think they've played a close game this year on their way to an unblemished record.
They haven't, man. I think that Myrtle Beach game last week may have been the closest game they played, and that was still, I think, 3 score, something like that. I mean, it's
exactly
unreal what they're doing. Coach Brand said it a couple weeks ago, like they just wear you down. With AJ Brand, Jay Allen Hendricks, 200+ guys in the backfield, they just wear on you. A big physical team like James Island, at some point, I mean, it got to them too. I think James Island offense struggled a little bit, which kind of hurt them because their defense on the field a whole lot in that ball game. But Irmo, I mean, you can't say enough about what they've done this year. It's been so impressive. I think they've been overlooked a lot. We even have as well. I feel like, we've had them top 4 in our poll. We probably haven't given them the love they deserve for what they've done this year. But they've been super impressive. One of the best teams in the state, regardless of class, all year long, dominant throughout, and another dominant win on Friday night.
Yeah, and they've dominated against a very good schedule as well. Going into this game, we gave James Island a lot of credit for their victory last week over Hartsville in dominating fashion. And, Irma's like, we're a completely different team. We like to run the ball too, but we're coming right at you. We're not doing any misdirection or anything like that. We're going to smash it down your throat, and we're going to play solid defense. And they did it again. Again, that score's 34-7 in favor of Irmo. And moving to the upper state in 3A, had another tight ball game. That was BHP and Clinton. The Bears are able to kind of lean on their defense in this game, something they really haven't had to do this year with how prolific that offense has been. But they win it 27-24 over Clinton. Very good football game. The Bears are for real, but I want to give, before we get into it, I want to give a hat tip to Clinton, man. That is a team that has battled probably more adversity this season than any other team when it comes to injuries. They've just been a plug and play. That's a great system. Coach Fountain, Coach Campbell, everybody on that staff has done a fantastic job, but the Bears were just a little bit too much. Great
back and forth ball game. Teams actually kicking field goals and touchdowns. And I think the final dagger came with the pick 6 for BHP to kind of ice it. Clinton did score late, did get the onside kick, so they lost there. But great ball game on both sides. Marquise Henderson had a big number. And that was super impressive because of what Clinton did to Jalen McGill and Broome, last week, holding a -6 rushing yards. For BHP to do what they did was really impressive. We knew they could run the ball, and we didn't know how well it would do this week, but they did a great job with that. And just, Clinton, like you said, Jerel, they fought hard all year long. Couldn't quite get the run game really going. Richardson, the quarterback, had the leading rusher for them, but they couldn't really get the offense quite flowing, it felt like, on Friday night, which kind of hurt them. But great win for Coach Blackson and those guys. I mean, they have been a phenomenal football team. Undefeated, still one of the few that's still undefeated left in the state. When you've got a back like Henderson, that's super impressive. I think I saw that he went over 2,000 yards for the season. I mean, he's probably had 150 carries, like not many carries at all, it feels like. So great to see what he's doing. Great win there for the Bears.
Yeah, he had probably 3 games worth of carries on Friday night.
Yeah.
I think he went 30 plus. I mean, we had single digit carries for him numerous times throughout this season, and he was the workhorse, and they were able to get it done. All right, Kev, let's go to our final game of the week presented by Kona, and that is the 1A state championship game in Skeeza. We had Patrick Henry knocking off Lee Academy 35-28.
Great win for Patrick Henry. I think they were down 21-7, I think, second quarter, scored late to make it 21-14. And how about this, Jerel? They outscored them 14-0 in the fourth quarter to win this ballgame. They're out to win a huge win there for the Patriots. And it came down to too much from the Ferry brothers. The twin brothers are Hugh Ferry, 16 for 32, 279, 4 touchdowns passing, another 63 on the ground, and another touchdown rushing. Forrest Ferry, his brother, 4 catches, $115 and a TD. Awesome win for those guys. I think I said it was with their second year or third year back playing 11-man, whatever it was.
Yeah.
They've been a really good squad all year long. Had that one loss, that was it. Lee Academy had been rolling, behind Deshaun Haddon and Bryce Muldrow and those guys. They had beaten Clarendon Hall in round 1 very handily, beat Thomas Hayward pretty good. Coach Rankin had those guys rolling. But Patrick Henry, man, that's a great win for them. Super impressive. Really happy for that program, and great job there for the Patriots in 1A.
Such a special, time of the year for them, for them to win this state championship game. They've been at the top of 1A and Skeeza all year. To crown that, get it done in the playoffs is a very, rewarding moment, I'm sure, for those kids. And again, that score was 35-28 over Lee Academy. Let me go through the rest of the games presented by Kona. We had Gray Collegiate knocking off Strom Thurmond 35-28. Somerville rolls Carolina Forest 63-35. We have Irmo all over James Allen 34-7. And in our final game of the week presented by Kona. We had BHP over Clinton in a tight one, 27-24. Kevin, let's flip down to our Pick'em contest games. They are brought to us each and every week by our friends at Hanna Engineering. And the first one was a no contest, and it's not a surprise. It's the Daniel Lions over the Chester Cyclones, 49-28. Daniel, I mean, they just get in the playoffs. You know, it's so hard to keep up with them during the season because they try to schedule tough non-region. I'm sure it's difficult for them, especially being in this region of the state. It's kind of a little bit secluded, kind of run through their region schedule pretty easily. But they've also just rolled through these playoffs.
Another team that kind of put the hammer down late. This is a 21-12 ball game at one point. They blow out Chester the rest of the way. You know, Colton Chapman, good ball game for them. I think they may have had a couple pick sixes I want to saw as well. So I may have missed that, but they are playing great as they have all season long. It feels like haven't, really been pushed to the test yet. I love what the Lions are doing. We know Coach Future Squad's always going to be at the end, and they are again this year.
Jumping up to 5A in the upper state, we had Dutch Fork and Gaffney. This is turning into a little rivalry here, Kev. But this one really wasn't competitive. Dutch Fork just kind of lays the hammer down here. Gaffney only scores on a special teams play. It ends up being 35-10. The Silver Foxes are rolling. Coach Knotts knows how to get it done, obviously, in the playoffs, won multiple state championships, in the Carolinas. And they just seem to really be figuring it out. They've also battled adversity, especially at the most important position of quarterback, and they continue to get it done over a very good Gaffney team.
Another night without John Hunt at quarterback, and they still blow the Indians out. Ethan Offing had a big game. Trenton Lodge as well, running the ball for them. But that defense, man, we harped on it all year long. They've been really good on that side of the ball. Even when they were struggling on offense, the defense was keeping them in games, doing a great job there. Tyler Jones and crew. They did it again on Friday. This Gaffney offense has as many playmakers as anybody in the state. That wide receiver group is super talented with Little John and Medley and all those guys out wide. And they just shut them down. Like I said, that their one touchdown was on a punt block that they ran back. They had, I think, a couple field goal tries. They made one, missed one. But outside of that, didn't really even make a whole lot of progress against that Dutch Fork defense at all. Silver Foxes playing great ball, man. Super impressive what they've done. To run the ball kind of down Gaffney's throat. I know they had kind of missed a couple linebackers, something like that, but still, really great job by Coach Knotts. The way he's turned this program around, man, it's been really cool to see this season. I think they've got the slogan of greatest story ever going right now at GSE.
Yeah, for sure.
And they are trying to add another state title to their banner for sure.
And what a story it is. This has got to be some of Coach Knott's best work, with the adversity that they've battled through, not having the star power that he's, I'm sure, accustomed to, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And they just figure out a way. You knew it was coming, though. Once they got past Hannah, you were like, uh-oh, like these guys might be onto something. And you've mentioned it multiple times on the shows and throughout our spaces. You could definitely see the second half of the year, Coach Knott's interviews post-game were a little bit different tone, and he could see that the light was coming on for this particular group. And here they are again in the Upper State Championship. But they'll be, matched up against a team that has not been in this position in a long, long time. That's a team from Greenville County. Had a battle here. Had the Jailman Patriots knocking off the Hillcrest Rams 21-13. The story of this the last 2 weeks for Man, though, has been that defense. They have been extremely dominant these last couple of weeks. We've talked about their offense the past 2 years, it sounds like. But Coach Watson and his group get it done on the defensive side in shutting down that Hillcrest offense and scoring just enough to make it to the Upper State 5A championship.
It's really hard to beat a good team twice, and they did it in a span of, 3 weeks? I think it was, Jerel. This was a much different ball. I think the first game was like 42-35. This one 21-13. A lot more, defense heavy in this one. Kind of a weird game. We had no scoring in the first quarter. Hillcrest goes up 13-7 at the break. Jailman scores 14 in the third, and then nobody scores in the fourth. Kind of a wild ball game there. It was, looking at the box score. We talked about it off air. It's hard to know what really happened because it felt like there just was no offense at all. It was very odd stat numbers, very odd stuff. It was weird. McClellan had a couple touchdowns receiving, but only had like 40 yards receiving, but had some nice rushing yards as well. McFadden had a touchdown receiving, as always, it feels like. Morrison had a good game on the ground for Jailman. Stanley for Hillcrest there. But, both teams hats off to the defense. These are two of the more prolific offenses that we've seen in the state this year. To hold Jailman to 21 and Hillcrest to 13, pretty good on both sides of the ball there. But hats off to Coach Watson, man. What he has done, like you said, I think they were 1-9 or 0-10 a couple years back before he got there, to be now in the upper state title game just in his second year as the head coach. I think it's second or is it third?
It might be his third.
Third. Either way, it's still very impressive for what Coach Watson, what he's done there. Love to see it. And that's super impressive. Like I said, Druckle, we've harped on the offense all year, but these last 2 weeks, the defense stood up for them and got them the wins, and the Patriots are playing good football.
We could definitely see it coming. We were able to talk to him last season as they were kind of building up and gaining momentum, making a lot of noise, throughout the non-region play and their non-region schedule last year. Kind of couldn't get it done, couldn't win the big game, late in that year, and couldn't really get it done either early in this season. But they've really turned it on these last few weeks, and here they are in the upper state championship game. So kudos to those guys. That's a big time win for them. But I think you said you wanted to talk about offense and points. We'll go to 4A. We had Westside and Midland Valley. No shortage of points and no defense. Westside wins this game 68-53. Before we go, talk about how prolific that offense is at Westside, I've got to give a shout out to Trey Dunbar at Midland Valley. I mean, this kid goes over 3,000 yards in this football game. We'll talk about it a little bit later in playoff performers. Literally puts the team on his entire back, scores 8 touchdowns in this game, Kevin. His defense couldn't get him just 1.5 stops, like maybe a field goal here. What a Herculean effort. Unfortunately, doesn't go their way. Fantastic story for the Mustangs. But Westside, man, we've talked about their defense. Who cares? Who cares when you put up 68?
Super impressive performance on both sides, from both offenses, I would say. We talked about on the pregame show where we've thought Midland Valley maybe a little bit susceptible to the pass, and Westside obviously took advantage of that. But they ran the ball well too, man. They've got some good backs to help out Cutter Woods and Boston and Williams and those guys, with Evans and Richardson and whatnot as well. Midland Valley, man, you can't snuff out Trayvon Dunbar, what he's done this year and throughout his career. He's been a super big-time player, one of the best players we've seen in the last several years here across the state. Both teams, both coaches, Coach Chapman and Coach Lane, had to be kind of pulling their hair out like, guys, give us one stop. Just one stop, we can win this ball game. Westside's able to do it and pull it out. But love to see what Coach Chapman's building there for Midland Valley. I mean, this is a program I think that's going to have some staying power. Obviously, you lose Dunbar. That's tough to replace, but they've got some other talent they'll have coming in, so they should be another contender next year. But then Coach Lane, first year at Westside, man, taking this team to the Upper State Final, super impressive. A program that had had some success the last couple of years, but couldn't really get to this level. In year one, kind of changing that mindset and getting them to that Upper State title game. Who knows what will happen this week? But hats off to him and that program. I mean, love watching that offensive play. We saw them a couple weeks ago. They can sling it. They can run it. They got some great playmakers. And I will say this. I think he kind of knows or kind of knew going into the year that they didn't have the best defense. He's like, we might not stop many folks, but not many folks are going to stop us either. So they've been, kind of living and dying by that all year long. So we'll see what happens next week. But that offense has been rolling right now.
And look at you, Kev. I mean, you've been there from the jump. You were at the introductory press conference eating spaghetti. Look at you. I mean, the Rams need to give you a shout out too. But that is an impressive performance offensively, at least I will say, for them to get up there. Like you said, Coach Lane, his first year with the program. Coach Chapman, it's the same. This is another Midland Valley. I mean, a couple of years ago, these guys 0-10, 1-9, and look at them now. I mean, that's their first loss on the year in an absolute shootout in the third round of the playoffs. So kudos to those kids. Hate your season ended like this, but all the credit to the Rams there. Moving on to 3A, another, high-scoring game, but we kind of thought it would be the opposite here. Brooklyn Casey has just turned it on. I mean, these guys are unstoppable, especially on the ground. They win a shootout over Crestwood, 53-27. Got to give some kudos to the defense. Holding Crestwood to 27 points is a remarkable accomplishment. Crestwood scored 44 in the first half last week without even trying. And, they struggled to get that 27. But Brooklyn Casey, I mean, they're getting it done, playing at home, and having a good time right now.
Coach Sharpie has those guys playing phenomenal football. You mentioned the defense, Jerel. Last week, holding Phillip Simmons to 14 points, I think it was. Great performance there. This week, Crestwood to 27. One of those touchdowns was on a kickoff return as well. So not even, really against the defense there. But offensively, they are running the ball down people's throat. Will Young this week was the lead back, had 300 plus. Deshaun Washington, he was, second leading rusher. He only had 200 plus for the Bearcats. So he couldn't really get it going on Friday. It sounds like, but
tough game.
I think they threw 3 passes. I think on Friday, no completions, so all rushing yards there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just I don't know if you guys have seen their highlights. They're basically lining up just like single wing, double wing, kind of wildcat with Will Young and Washington, and just running it down your throat. You can't stop it. Kind of running that GT stuff there. It's great to see what Coach Sharpie's done. I think we talked to some guys, kind of off air earlier in the year who we were saying we had a hard time figuring out how good they were. They played some out-of-state teams, played some lower-level teams. Couldn't really get a good feel for them. They're like, Coach Sharpie, their teams always get better throughout the year because the way that they practice and play and whatnot. They're certainly peaking at the right time. I mean, there may not be a team playing better all around football than those guys right now. It's super impressive what they're doing and playing there at Fort Knox is certainly a big advantage as well, but they're doing a great job right now.
Most definitely. And that's the thing. This offense has pretty much had to completely flip from what they were doing last year, where they were more pass heavy. Well, the last few years, with Tanner Staten being, a Division I level quarterback there, playing at Elon now. And, now they're just, like you said, lining up. They got a veteran offensive line and just, it's coming and they try to dare you to stop it and no one can. And, that's just an impressive, like you said, they're peaking at the right time, playing better than just about anybody in the state. That's an impressive win for those guys. And our last Pick'em contest game was a tight one. We had Johnsonville edging Lamar 14-12. We learned in the space that Lamar was down a star player, but nonetheless, they played their hearts out in this contest.
Johnsonville up 14-6. Lamar scores, can't get the 2. They actually get the ball back, I think, down to the goal line again late in that game. Cannot quite convert. Sewer Foxes falling that one under first-year head coach Stephen Burris, but a program that's always going to be there. They've got so much talent down there. I think they've got some good talent coming back next year. They'll be certainly a tough squad to beat. Zoe Pierce will be back hopefully from injury at that point at the quarterback spot. But Johnsonville, man, a team that, had some tough losses. I think, lost to North Central early on, lost to Latta midseason pretty badly. I do think Shippey might have been out that ball game, that Latta game. But anyway, they've been on quite a roll lately. Blew out a hot Lakeview team last week, beat a good Lamar team this week, a team that's right back where they were last year, lower state final under Coach Cribb, a team that's been there before, man, with Shippey and Martin and those guys. Hard to count them out. They're playing good football. To go into Lamar and win, that's a tough place to win. Hats off to those guys and what the Flashes have done this year.
Yeah, and that was a tight one against North Central. I think that was way back in week 0. But that Latta game, they got blown out. they got destroyed in that game. And they have just really, as the season progressed, continued to get better, continued to play well. You can tell they have, that veteran leadership with Shippey there. And like you said, here they are, once again in that lower state championship in 1A. But again, our Pick'em contest games presented by Hannah Engineering. We had Daniel knocking off Chester 49-28, Dutch Fork over Gaffney 35-10, Man over Hillcrest 21-13, Westside in a shootout over Midland Valley 68-53. Brooklyn Casey runs all over Crestwood 53-27, and a tight one down in the Low Country in 1A, Johnsonville over Lamar 14-12. Kev, you want to take a look at the rest of our scoreboard and give some commentary on these games? We will start in 5A, and the only game that we have not talked about yet in that classification is White Knoll and Sumter. White Knoll just continues to play fantastic football. Dream season for the Timberwolves there. They knock off Sumter 35-7, and this game was not even that close.
The first half was kind of weird. White Knoll scored first, actually blocked a field goal, took that in for a touchdown, go up 7-0. No other scoring until about 20 seconds left in the half. Landon Sharp scores on a keeper, make it 14-0. But that's until that point, Sumter kind of hung around there, played good football. But White Knoll too much. I think they forced 3+ turnovers. I think they had 3 picks also in that ball game at least. So did a great job on both sides as always. Landon Sharp, absolute gamer at quarterback, man. He's a really good player there for Coach Pelham. Those guys continue to roll and play good football.
We'll look ahead. We have the luxury of doing so. How crazy would it be? White Knoll and Dutch Fork in a state championship game. These guys had a hard-fought game in that region. The way it's set up, it splits with half of it going upper state, half of it going lower state, but it is a distinct possibility at this point.
That was a 17-14 win for White Knoll in that one. Love to see a rematch of that ball game.
That would be a lot of fun. Going to 4A, we start off with the big one. I say it, the biggest upset of the year got me eating, some linen in a couple days now that I'm not really prepared for. And that is Greenville. The Red Raiders outlast the Northwestern Trojans 42-41. Cannot stop MJ Bennett getting it done all over the place. We were on the sidelines keeping up with this game. You kept looking at me saying, Mazio's in for a big one tonight. He's going to get it done. And I'm like, nah, don't worry. Northwestern's going to turn it on eventually. It's going to be a blowout. Don't worry about it. Meanwhile, the whole time I'm thinking to myself, man, what did I say on Tuesday about this game? I'm just psyching myself out. Northwestern's able to come back a little bit late in this game, go for two late, don't get it. But the Red Raiders are playing in the Upper State Championship again.
They were trailing kind of all game. Were able to kind of score a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Had a couple fourth down, like long touchdowns. It felt like to kind of actually take a lead finally over Northwestern. They scored to go up 14 points. We're like, oh my gosh, this game is all over. Northwestern comes back, scores a touchdown, onside kick, recovers, scores again, goes for two, doesn't convert. Greenville wins it. And I'll say it, Jerel. I don't mind the call going for two. I know they say at home, go to overtime, on the road, go for two, whatever. They were at home, but I still don't care. Go for two, that's fine. The only thing is I would have put the ball in the hands of Turbo Richard. That would have been my thing. He's your stud. He's your Mr. Football finalist. He's one of the best backs in the state. I would have given him the football. That's just me. Obviously, Coach Walford and those guys know what they're doing. So, but hate to see it didn't work out. But I said on the previous show, Jerel, and I'll say it Friday night to you guys, to win that ball game, I felt like Mazio Bennett had to, be legendary, had to go off. Just because we knew how good Northwestern was with all their talent, with Polk and Richard and Burris and Knox and all those guys there on offense and all the studs on defense as well. Greenville played probably their best game of the year, like they had to. We've
100%.
We've said all year long how they've got great talent. We knew they did. They just hadn't quite seemed to put it together. It felt like it had some kind of weird losses early on and whatnot. I know they had some health issues at one point, but they played great on Friday night, man. Hats off to Katie Mosley, big game, MJ Bennett, big game. Christian Henderson, Bryson Drummond, the whole crew showed up for Coach Porter's squad. He's done a great job of getting those guys to believe and play best football right now for sure. Just a great win for them. Northwestern, and it's not like a game where they turn it over 4 or 5 times and fluky stuff happened or whatever. They just beat them. They beat them, and that's hats off to the Red Raiders, man. That is awesome to see. I heard Coach Porter say that they wanted to make Northwestern play 4 quarters because they hadn't really had to do that. And they made them do that on Friday night, and the Red Raiders came out on top.
Yeah. We can't second guess. We are in no position to second guess Coach Walford there. But you say play 4 quarters, like they should have been playing in overtime. You would think so. You would have liked to see that game get into overtime. But like you said, man, Greenville just beat these guys. And they went to D3 and beat these guys. And then they got their get back from last year. So many great
2 years in a row they've lost those guys,
Exactly, man. Just can't say enough about Coach Porter, the job that he's done in Greenville County, that staff, those players. they believe because it's cliche. They had to have been the only people that believed they were going to win that game. I would have bet every penny in my little piggy bank that Northwestern was going to win this game by at least 2 scores. But those guys in that locker room believed that they were going to win. They got on the buses. They went to Football City, USA, and they got the job done. And they're going to be playing the Upper State Championship game. Just a special night. This 2 weeks in a row. I want to give a shout out to, it's my home. Greenville County schools, man. They're just doing fantastic stuff in football. Seems like the county's really buying into football finally. It's always been big, basketball, baseball, other sports like that. But to see them performing well in football is a big deal. And, it's a badge of honor for me. I think it's really great stuff.
I think, Drew, I don't even know if it's necessarily like the district or the schools get into it. I don't know. But I think they've really got some really good coaches right now. I think it's the main key. You mentioned Coach Porter and Coach Watson. And then, some of these hires are really impressive. Coach Porter, a guy that's won a state title, Coach Watson, a guy that got it and understood. You could tell he was a good coach. And, Hillcrest, they go get a name like Bennett Swigert. I mean, a college guy, they bring him in.
Yeah.
We're getting some legit head coaches in the county, which is really cool to see. And as you can see, the football seems to be getting a little better, it feels like.
Yeah, it's definitely been elevated. And it's great to see, especially, being next to Spartanburg, where there's so many resources and there's so much buy-in, just across the county line there. And, really like Greer has always been like a historic program. Greenville's always like been on the cusp, but never been able to kind of get over it. But to see, them get this done this year is a lot of fun, and hopefully they can continue the wave. But yeah, just wanted to spend some time on Greenville, man. That's huge for those guys because nobody believed in them but the Greenville, community, and they were able to get that done. And Northwestern, man, shout out to them, man. They're going to be back. They have talent every year. That's a fantastic football team. I know you got to see them earlier in the season. And like you said, they never, like Coach Porter said, they never played a close game outside of that Week 0 loss to Providence Day. They just steamrolled everybody, but they didn't do it on Friday, and now they're going home. But going to 4A, a team that has answered the bell every time for the last 2 years. And that's South Florence. Cinderella has officially lost both slippers in Lancaster, but South Florence wins this game. The Bruins win it 42-22.
This is a fairly close game, really until late in the third, fourth quarter. And then South Florence really kind of poured it on. Lancaster not quite enough firepower there, but hats off to Coach Surratt. What he did with that program in the playoffs, winning 2 tough ball games on the road, really impressive. I hope that's a sign of things to come for Lancaster. I certainly do hope to see them get back in the winning circle here again soon. But South Florence, man, they had another defensive score as always. Cyree Livingston, a big game. I think he had 3 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown, something like that. Another big game for him. They're kind of at the Wildcat and playing receiver for them. And I know they're kind of working a new quarterback a little bit, Jerel. See how that works out this week. Big game with Irmo. See how that goes. But that defense, man, just lights out with, Goodman and Harkless and, Rhodes and just all the names that we know, man, Adams and all those guys. They're playing great football on both sides.
Life after Lenore is just still doing well. I think that's 28 in a row for those guys. If you're anywhere in that area, I think, you'll probably be down there.
Mm-hmm.
For those listening, we'll talk about it more on Tuesday. That's going to be a 2 chin strap game there between South Florence and Irmo. It's going to be a hell of a ball game. So go check that one out. But flip it down to 3A, another great tight one at Camden and Gilbert. Camden is able to outlast Gilbert there, winning 35-28. Camden, just a team full of experience, and they relied on it. A lot of the names that we've been talking about the past 4 years really shined on Friday night.
Grayson White, football player, Jerel. That's all it is, man. The guy gets it done, passing, running, playing defensive line, had the game-ending sack on Friday night against Gilbert to win that game, man, to seal it there. Gilbert jumped out to an early lead. Camden came back, took their lead. Gilbert bounced back again. I mean, Trayvon Williamson, big game for them. Drake Braddock, big game for them. Love what we saw in that ball game, man. Neither team quit, which is what you want to see this time of year. Want to see back and forth ball games. You want to see 2 teams giving it their all. And, Coach Leapard, Coach Shrimp certainly had their guys geared up for it. Camden just a little bit too much firepower late. An interesting play in that one, Grayson White has his helmet knocked off, has to come out of the ball game. Wyatt, I think Thompson is a backup quarterback's name there. His one play in the game, rushes for a touchdown, takes it to the house, a big one. A big-time play there for Camden. Really sees the opportunity there for them. Awesome to see. But 2 great football teams, man. Camden playing really well right now. Knocking off Dillon and Gilbert back-to-back weeks. 2 great wins for them. Coach Rim's got those boys rolling.
They better be prepared next week. This is a team in BC. I mean, that's going to be a heck of a ball game down there in the Midlands. Both of those schools fairly close to each other. At the Fort Knox is going to be packed. And I want to just Grayson White, man. I give a shout. Man, this kid plays quarterback and defensive line. I love that, man. That I get really excited about that. That's fun stuff. But going to 2A, Kevin, this was a tight one. We kind of predicted it on Tuesday that it would be close. And that was Abbeville and Silver Bluff. Abbeville's able to win it 16-6, able to get some late scores in this football game. Silver Bluff has revamped that offense, just was not able to score enough, obviously. And Big A, they get advanced to the next round.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns, Carson Norman in that ball game. I believe it was 9-6, and Silver Bluff had the ball down at the goal line of Abbeville there. Couldn't get it in the fourth quarter, and then Norman scores a second touchdown to kind of open it up there. Really tight game, really great performance from the Bulldogs. I think he had a couple of defensive starters out on Friday, and they still played that tough against Abbeville. But Coach Nichols' squad, they're going to make the plays when they have to. I mean, they never are scared. They never doubt themselves. Big plays when they had to have it. The Panthers continue to roll, and they're back in another upper state title game.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Coach Bryant, man. They've really had to. That was a really good coaching job as well. These guys play in a difficult region there. They play a really difficult non-region schedule. Had to revamp that offense. Had some injuries. Had to shuffle some things around. That defense was stout the entire season, and then to make it to the third round and play a very competitive game with Abbeville shows how good of a coaching job that was and how those players really bought in. Just came up a little bit short in that ball game. But going down to the lower part of the state, had a couple blowouts here. Had Hampton County all over Andrew Jackson, 37-21, and Oceanside big over Barnwell, 43-6.
I mean, stop if you heard this before, Jerel, but Hampton County, they ran all over another team. I mean, that's just what they do each week, it feels like. Big offensive line, Zion Dobson getting it done. Huge game again. You'll hear about it here in a little bit in our play performers. Coach Hanlon's squad is just rolling, man. Putting the hammer on people. Just too big, too physical. Kind of like what Irmo's doing in 4A. Same thing for Hampton County, here in 2A. Andrew Jackson, a team that, we thought would be solid going into the year. Struggled early on, kind of got hot late, you would say. But this game, I think, kind of went as we expected it to go.
Yeah, for sure. And, Hampton County, you knew they were going to be good as they were last year before the school merged, Wade Hampton. And then you bring in Estill, who was also a fantastic football team last year. Knew they were going to be very good with those schools combining there. And then you go into Oceanside, I mean, they're just plugged in a new quarterback here, and they just haven't skipped a beat. Barnwell, good run to the third round. They dealt with some adversity as well. You've heard that before. You don't get to this point in the season without dealing with injury. It's football. It's a physical game. That's a good showing for those guys throughout the season. They just kind of ran into a buzzsaw with the Land Sharks there.
War Horses scored first, went up 6-0. And that was all she wrote. Oceanside kind of took off there. Love what they're doing at the quarterback spot. Virgilio and some other guys kind of get some time and they're mixing it around. The defense has been great all year long. We keep harping on that. That's going to keep them in every ball game. Can they get enough from the offense? And right now the answer is yes. Like, they played great the last 2 weeks for Coach Wilkes, even without Edward Reidenbach. He's done a great job kind of game planning and figuring out what to do there with these new pieces, and they're rolling for sure.
And going to 1A, we got Christ Church over Blackfield Hilda, 27-7. Kevin, Christ Church is another team, they just go about their business. They have high expectations. They're never on stock up because their stock can't get any higher. I'm just so impressed with how Tucker Hendricks, my cousin, has played this year. Like we saw him week 0, has just really settled down. When we saw him, he looked like a quarterback making his first start. Late in the season, I mean, he has just been phenomenal. Jackson Rep, I mean, this is a guy that has been overlooked. I feel like the majority of the season has put up massive numbers, Kevin. Yeah. I mean, just getting it done, special teams on offense, playing really good football. And you can just see it here, man. Another 20-point win, on to the Upper State Championship again for Christ Church.
Defense playing great as well, holding a good Blackfield team to 7. Really impressive there for those guys. And just so much firepower. You mentioned Rep and Hendricks and Reeder, and just all those guys can go, can really, really go, can score, 60, 70 yarders whenever you need it. So really impressive win for them. Can't wait for this week. But right now, Coach Hatfield's squad's playing great football.
Well, let's talk about it. St. Joe's, man, this is a team that's really turned it on. Had a region rematch here. St. Joe's gets the better of this one this time. They win 27-14 over Southside Christian. They've definitely found something late in the season and into the playoffs. We'll see if they can do it again in the Upper State Championship. I don't know.
Defense playing great right now. Shutting out Louisville last week, holding Southside Christian to 14. Coach Goodman has those guys believing, which I think at this point in the playoffs is such a key thing. Everybody's good. Everybody's got talent. But when you got momentum, that you're good enough to do it. I mean, you guys can accomplish anything. You know how it goes, man. They're playing great football right now for sure.
I don't know how it goes because I was a terrible football player, and I'll be the first one to admit it. But kudos to those guys because they're definitely getting it done. And see if they've slayed one dragon that they weren't able to take care of in the regular season. Let's see if they can do it against Christ Church. I don't personally think so, but it's been a heck of a story. And I'm not making any predictions anymore because these games aren't played on paper or on computer screens. They're played on the field. We'll see what happens on Friday. But going to our last game in 1A in the lower state, we had Bamberg Earhart all over a good cross team, 41-6. I think John's going to have something to say about Cross on Tuesday, the way they were coming after him. But big Bamberg, man, they were getting it done. They've really, played some really good football down the stretch.
Offense has been outstanding. Chancellor Crosby getting it done at the quarterback spot. MJ Can had a big game on the ground this week. Nick Folk's a weapon. Anthony Williams is a weapon for those guys. A program that's historic, has always dominated kind of at that 1A and 2A level, it feels like. And they're back to their winning ways, man. They're playing great football right now. Just have not, played a competitive game in the playoffs yet. They've been blowing everybody out.
That's awesome. That's all I have in the scoreboard here. Kev, do you have those state championship finals in skis? I don't have them in front of me.
We do from Friday night in the 8-man ranks. Jefferson Davis, they win the tie-breaking game here, the rubber match against Holly Hill, 20-14. Holly Hill had quite a streak going with state titles for JDA to end that. And, it was really a low-scoring game for 8-man football. You don't see many 20-14 scores. Great win there for JDA. Hats off to those guys. In the 4A ranks, I thought we had an upset brewing here, Jerel. We talked about it on the preview show where it felt like Hammond not quite as good as the Hammond of normal, but still very good. Lawrence Manning had been playing good football. And they played great on Friday night, but Hammond a little too much. They win 28-21 in this one. Lawrence Manning had a 14-0 lead early on in this ball game. Hammond comes back, outscores them 14-7 in the fourth quarter to win that one. Great game by Tyler and Johnson, those guys for the Skyhawks. 7 titles in a row.
Crazy.
Coach Wheeler just continued what Coach Kimry was building there. That program is really fun to watch and just see the kind of way they go about their business. Super impressive what they've done there. In the 2A ranks, a bit of an upset here. Both teams were undefeated. That's Williamsburg and Bethesda. But I think most folks thought that the Williamsburg team won state last year, was going to do it again this year. But Bethesda, they on the backs of a 12-3 fourth quarter, they defeat Williamsburg 18-17. Williamsburg actually misses a last-second field goal about a 30-something yard. They miss it out to the right. Coach Boyd's squad can't quite get it done. A game that we thought would also be more high-scoring. We followed Williamsburg all year with Balder and Camden Moore and those guys putting up big numbers. Couldn't really get it going today. They scored 14 in the second, 3 in the fourth. That was it. Bethesda, big game from the quarterback, Tristan Carroll there. A huge win for those guys. I think that's their first Skeezer State title, I believe, for Bethesda. Great to see that of that program. A great football game there in the 2A ranks. In 3A, Hilton Head Christian, they win easily over Wilson Hall, 28-6. We said it 2 weeks ago. We thought that that Hilton Head Christian Power Prep game was probably the state title. I think that's still probably the case. Hilton Head Christian proved to be too much this week. The offense just couldn't be stopped. Wilson Hall couldn't get anything going offensively for the Barons. Big win there for the Eagles in 3A. And then obviously we talked the 1A game, Patrick Henry defeating Lee Academy. So a great weekend of Skeezer State titles down there in Charleston Southern. Let's give a quick shout out to our friends of the program, Jerel.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, KONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to kona.care to learn more.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, their moisture-wicking, quick-drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row, very good polos.
I've only got a couple notes this week, Jerel. One of them, Marquise Henderson, Belton Honey Path running back. 36 touchdowns this year, single season record there for the Bears. A lot of great backs come through that program. Also see there for Marquise. I'm sure he's looking to hopefully add to that this week against Daniel, but that's one note. The other one I had, Camden linebacker Wilson Nash passed 300 career tackles on Friday. That's a impressive, big number there. I mean, think about these kids. I mean, he's got to be playing probably sophomore year, junior, and senior to get to that number. That's a lot of tackles.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 300 plus. Is that all the notes you had?
That's all that I've got.
One more. I think Trayvon Dunbar, we mentioned him earlier. I think he went over 3,000. I think he had 3,062 yards on the end of the season. Went over 40 touchdowns this year. I think him and KZ are the only ones on record in state to eclipse that 3,000-yard mark. I know it wasn't a loss, but you can't diminish his career. Battled through an injury, played in some state title games, just a fantastic, performer throughout the Palmetto State throughout his career. But that 3,000-yard number, that's a mythical type number there.
Yeah.
He will always be remembered in this state.
For sure. Looking at stock up, Jerel, it's everybody. Everybody who won, they're all stock up. I mean, everybody's a good football team now. Every once in the playoffs, you make the stock up. Congrats, guys. I'll put you on the graphic. But
yeah, for sure.
Let's take a look at our playoff performers brought to you by the George Agency. Had another week of tons of submissions. Really, pleased and thankful for you guys doing that for us. Love to see these guys playing great. Love to give them a shout on the program. The playoff performers brought to you by the George Agency. Open enrollment's here. Check them out at georgeagency.net. Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew. Check them out. Get all your needs for your personal insurance, your commercial insurance, whatever. Give them a call. But, Jerel, let's look at some of those playoff performers here from round 3.
Yeah, we've mentioned the majority of these guys throughout the show, but we'll start off with Somerville running back Trey Green. Had 26 carries for 269 yards and 5 touchdowns. Mazio MJ Bennett at Greenville High had 3 touchdowns in a multitude of ways, in that big upset win over Northwestern. Will Young at Brooklyn Casey, 26 carries for 315 yards and 5 touchdowns for the Shrine Bowler. His running back mate Deshaun Washington at Brooklyn Casey had 22 carries for 202 and 3 touchdowns. Also had a pick on the defensive side there. Again, we talked about Trayvon Dunbar at Midland Valley, 38 carries, 306 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Again, that's 8 touchdowns. Just a crazy stat line there. Cutter Woods from Westside goes 14 of 21 for 246 and 4 touchdowns. Got Sherrod Richardson at Westside, 16 carries for 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also had another catch for 65 yards and a touchdown there. Marquise Henderson, the running back at Belton Honeypath, had 31 carries for 168 and 2 touchdowns. Their big win over Clinton. Will Virgilio at Oceanside Collegiate had 150 yards receiving and 2 rushing touchdowns. Zion Dobson, Mr. Football finalist in the state of South Carolina, had 153 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. Cyree Livingston out of South Florence, 4 total TDs. Grayson White, football player of Camden, goes 17 of 25 for 195, 2 touchdowns. Also had 82 yards rushing, 2 more touchdowns, and a game-winning sack in that game. Drake Braddock at Gilbert, the gunslinger there, had 245 passing and 3 touchdowns. Jaden Allen Hendricks, little Derrick Henry at Irmo, had 180 yards rushing, a touchdown. MJ Can at Bamberg Earhart, 3 rushing touchdowns. BJ Montgomery had 3 touchdowns on the ground for Gray Collegiate. Katie Mosley at Greenville had 6 catches for 163 and 2 touchdowns. Finley Polk at Northwestern had 4 TD passes. Turbo Richard of Northwestern also had 3 touchdowns total. Ethan Alfin, the quarterback at Dutch Fork, had 239 total yards and 4 touchdowns. Had Deshaun Richardson at Clinton. He goes 6 of 19 for 122 and a touchdown, 14 carries for 145 and 2 TDs, leading rusher for them in that football game. And Domenico Banks of White Knoll, 10 tackles and 2 TFLs in their big time win over Sumter.
Another great list. Hope you guys will keep sending us these stats on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want to do it, email, whatever. Send us those stats next week. Love to hear from all the big performances in the upper and lower state finals. But also, that is our playoff performers brought to you by the George Agency. Like I said, the georgeagency.net. Open enrollment is here, whether you're a small business owner, need it for yourself, whatever. Check them out at georgeagency.net for all your insurance needs. Jerel, let's make a quick shout out to our friends of the program before we come back with our File 8 Row question.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more. So wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, Their moisture-wicking, quick-drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at FollyRow on social media. Folly Row. Very good polos.
A hot button topic for several years now, Jerel.
Flaming hot.
Yeah, especially this year, is the topic of our Folly Row question. That is, with the recent, I'm sure you guys saw it, ruling that the SCHSL came out with this week of the multiplier of 3. Basically, if a student attends your school or attends a school and they're outside of your attendance zone, they will count for 3 students for realignment and reclassification purposes, Jerel. What are your thoughts on this? Obviously, the reason this is happening is they're saying that the charter schools and the private schools are dominating sports at the lower levels too much. Do you think this is a good thing? Is this a step in the right direction? Will this fix this problem? What are your thoughts on this 3-time multiplier rule that we're going to implement here, starting, I guess, this next reclassification?
Yeah, I understand like that something, I don't say needed to be done or that something, I'll say something that was going to be inevitably done when it came to charters and publics in the high school league. It's been talked about ad nauseum for I don't know how long now. But I'll say, like, my opinion, I don't like it. I think it's an overreaction. Going to the 3 times, I think that you could have, maybe gone 1.5, gone 2. We've talked about this, previously on other shows. I think they went to the Georgia model. I think that's what they do in Georgia, and it works for them, it's going to work here. Well, no, I don't think that's a correct justification or correct reasoning when you go into it. I think it should have been state specific. We should have done. It seemed like a lot of the people who were making the decisions were a little bit informed and just kind of be like, well, that works there. We need to do something. Let's do that. The reason why I say it mainly, and I'm not saying that it's completely wrong and nothing needed to be done or blah, blah, blah. I'm just thinking I look at it from the perspective of the private schools, especially in 1A in Greenville County, because that's where I'm from. You're basically telling them with a 3 times multiplier, you're going to have to play 3A, 4A football and, or go to SCSA, and the reason why they're playing in the high school league is because there's no SCSA schools that play football in the area. And then when it comes to charters, there's a lot of kids that go to those schools that don't play sports, or it is what it is, so I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with the decision to go to the 3 times multiplier. I was not opposed to a multiplier at all. But I think it was just a little bit of an overreaction to something that, honestly, if they couldn't have got it done, they should have just, I won't say kick the can down the road, but done some more research and made a better informed decision. But Kev, I'll pass the baton to you. I had too much word salad right there. What are your thoughts on the decision made by the high school league this past week?
I don't think it's going to fix the problem that I think it's going to fix. From what I know about the way that schools work across the state, every school has kids from outside of their attendance zone.
Sure.
In some schools, a lot more than others. You look at a county like Greenville, where you can basically go wherever you want. Same thing with Pickens County. I think Darlington County is very similar. They are going to be I think every school is going to go up by a good bit, a good margin. So I don't know if it's really going to fix the problem. I think it's going to fix. I was more in favor of doing the multiplier, but do it all for the athletes only. If you do the full school, a school that has a fine arts program that maybe have, I don't know, 300, 400 kids to go to that just for that, who don't play sports at all, you're being affected negatively by that, putting you in a higher level that you need to be in. So I would have liked to have seen it, revised a little bit. And I think my main problem with it, Jerel, is that, if you watched the meetings or read the articles, and it just felt like these folks who were on the board they felt like they just had to do something. And I feel like that's not the reason to do this. If you don't think you have a great solution, don't do something just to do it. Because you may cause more issues that you got to fix at the end. And I think some of the folks on the committee spoke up and kind of said as much, but they were outvoted. Of course, it didn't really matter. And I don't know. I know you want to say oh, I can go back to my district or my, hometown or whatever and say that, hey, we stuck it to these guys and we got some change done in this. Yeah. And all that. But I don't know if you really did. I think there could have been some more research done on it. I think it felt a little bit rushed, honestly. Obviously reclassification coming up this year. This really didn't get talked about a whole lot until the past, month or so as far as what they wanted to do. And it was kind of when that bigger subcommittee got involved. Would have liked to have seen it kind of, drown a little bit longer and some more research done and more thoughts given on it. But it's here now. We'll see what happens. Going to be very interesting because I think that, like I said, I think all schools are going to go up. I don't know if it's going to fix your problem. I don't think it is.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's the correct solution. And the sad part about it is, like, when you make decisions like this that don't seem as informed as they should be, you have unintended consequences.
Yeah.
And usually when you have those things, it affects, people who are, it's going to affect the kids,
Right.
And you don't want that situation. What's Wade Hampton and Greenville? What they're going to be playing 8A football? They're going to make their own class or something like that. So who knows, man? But, they had to do something, like you said. Got to get these got an election coming up. Got to get these votes in, So it is what it is. But I hope they figure it out. I just hope it doesn't affect the kids too much, the student athletes, because that's the most important thing. Some people might not like what we have to say on the topic, but it is what it is. I think it's like you said, it's hot button. It's controversial, and we'll see what happens. I don't think we couldn't gloss over it, though. We had to say something.
Had to mention it, man. And I think one thing I am really interested to see how this works out, because everybody, they can say it or not, this was because of the charter schools and the private schools. Like, that's why they do this, for sure. Right now, you only see, the 1 and 2A level really complaining about that because that's who has to deal with these guys.
Yeah.
When they get bumped up, hypothetically, to that 3A, 4A level, and what if they start winning those? Are 3 and 4A then going to complain? And we got to put a 4-time multiplier in, a 5-time multiplier in drill. I mean, what are we going to do?
Where does it stop?
Yeah, we'll see. But that's a couple years down the road, hopefully, if we have to get into a big issue like that. But that's going to be interesting to see. I can't wait to see. Reclassification typically comes out, I think, the first round sometime around the new year. I don't know if that's going to get pushed back or not. With these new numbers having to get figured out, I don't know. We'll certainly know, I would assume, by the springtime, you would think, at least the first results before the appeals and all that stuff. So we'll see how that goes. And
it's going to be more than 3 or 4 appeals this year. It's
cannot wait to see these appeals, Jerel. I want to call the high school guy on this too. I hope they're listening. I hope they're listening. Get your feed fixed. I know there's been several people say this. I know I've seen Ian Guerin and Kyle Dawson, some other folks there. When you can't even tune in because the feed works for 10 minutes and it wants to cut out, or it says it's not supported anymore, you got to refresh. That's unacceptable, Jerel. Like, you're putting very important meetings on this feed that's unreliable. We do a live show Tuesday nights on Facebook and YouTube. Our streams don't break, knock on wood. So these guys have much more important meetings than we're having, and they can't figure it out.
They need StreamYard.
Get StreamYard. I got a referral code for you guys on StreamYard if you want to use it. Check our referral code, Movin the Chains. Get you some better streaming platforms, man. It's unreal. But can't wait to see those appeals happen, because that's going to be really interesting to see what they value, what they validate, what they decide, how they're going to make those calls.
By the way, Moving the Chains will be covering the state championship games from the parking lot down there. Was it Dawson Stadium in Orangeburg?
Oliver Dawson, yep.
Oliver Dawson Stadium down there in Spartanburg. We will not get any media credentials this year.
I just want the stream fixed, Drill. I just want the stream fixed. That's all I want.
Very adamant. This is something that's been grinding Kevin Thomas's gears for a while, and it is quite annoying. I usually try to keep up on Twitter or something like that, so I don't piss myself off trying to watch the live feed. But they got to get that. They got to do something. Get the referral code.
It's bad. But man, this is it's hard to believe we're already at upper and lower state championship week. Man, it's,
2 weeks.
It's been a great season, flying by for sure. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. A weekly preview show Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. Facebook Live, YouTube Live. We'll break down all of the next week's games. Check that out and join us for that, please. Our weekly recap show comes out on Sundays, breaking down the previous week's games on our podcast platforms. Our Friday Night Spaces on Twitter/X. Scoreboard show. A lot of fun to do that as well. Drill, talk to them about our merch we got.
Yeah, just go grab some. I mean, there's nothing else to say. I mean, we've said it repeatedly. Go grab some merch. Got the Richardson hats. We got all different colors. Got black and gray. Got the hoodies, the white, the gray. Grab a toboggan. It's starting to get cold. It's Christmas time. Just send us a link. Hit us on the chat. Send us a DM. It doesn't matter. We have an email, but it doesn't matter. Send smoke signals, carrier pigeon. We will get you your stuff. The prices, shipping is included in those prices, and shipping is not cheap. So if you get sticker shock, know that we are going to ship it to you, hopefully through the Postal Service if they work. It's a government agency, so we'll try to get it there. But go get some merch, support our team. It allows us to not have streams like the high school league. It allows us to get better equipment to travel to all these games. We have been to, I don't even know how many our graphics going to be overflowing this year. We will not be at the state championship anymore because of Kevin. But yeah, go grab some merch. Just reach out to us and we will get it to you ASAP.
Yeah, I definitely want to shout out a couple of these seniors too that we mentioned. We've done the last couple of weeks, Jerel. So these guys that are moving on, we've really enjoyed following. Staley, Ravenel, Johnson, Staten, Littlejohn, McFadden, Stanley, Dunbar, Martin, Yates, Richard, Thompson, Braddock. I mean, tons of great players across the state that we have really enjoyed covering the last couple of years, man. Can't wait to see what those guys do next in life. I'm sure they'll be successful whenever they choose. And once again, everybody who's still playing, congrats, man. Getting to practice on Thanksgiving is really cool. The grass is brown now. You get to go practice, get to eat a little turkey dinner. That's a great tradition, man. I know you guys have worked hard to get to this point. So definitely hats off to those teams who still get to practice here this week.
Yeah, man, I'm about to shed a tear, man. You start saying these names of these kids that we've had the pleasure to cover, man. They've been gracious to us. Their families have been gracious to us. And, like you said, football is it's a great game, man. It brings people together like no other. And, cherish those moments. Again, old man talking right here, it'll never go away if you're not going to be able to play another snap, which most people, once it's over in high school, it's done. But definitely it's going to be fun to keep up with the guys who have the opportunity, the very fortunate opportunity to play at the next level. You always have fans, from the MTC crew.
For sure. Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jerel Hendricks, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Round 3 recap show brought to you by Folly Row, and we will catch you guys next week.